It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. I'm Jeff Grubb. This is Grubbsnax. It's gonna be a wild one, I think. All right, so I've got a bunch of stuff I want to talk about here. I want to start as has been usual for these past few episodes with what is happening with Blizzard and Activision. Once again, there's still a lot of really great reporting out there. So if you want the details, please go read that. A lot of people are doing a lot of great coverage on this stuff. I just wanted to speak specifically to J. Allen Brack stepping down over at Blizzard. So J. Allen Brack was he was the CEO, I guess, president, whatever his title was at Blizzard. Basically, he took over from Mike Morhaime, and he did not step down. I think that's pretty clear to everybody, but I just want to confirm that it's not what was happening there. This is part of what I think is probably a pretty transparent effort to take pressure off of other people by creating someone who you could point to and say, we are making changes, we are listening, we're going to make changes starting here. Now, I think that this is Bobby Kotick's plan. This is all part of what he wants, what he wants now, to deal with this, to ensure that he survives this situation. So I wouldn't, to me, the very cynical, but I think the very realistic and fair read of the situation is that how much can you expect things to change when this still feels like sort of political shifting of pieces on a board and not necessarily dealing with the core issues at hand and the core problems. Maybe that will come as a byproduct of this, but I don't have a lot of faith in that. These are people who, people in charge of Activision Blizzard are still the people who are in charge of Activision Blizzard through all of this. And, I guess that a lot of this stuff even predates Activision, but still, it did not change under Activision. So why would we expect it to change now? And the other side of it is that it does seem like the workers are getting closer to organizing, or they've formed what they called an alliance. It definitely feels like it's on the pathway towards unionization, a word I always struggle with. And I think that we'll see, if Activision continues to ignore the demands, the very fair demands of ending forced arbitration and stuff like that, I think it's very likely we could see that turn into something more official and more concrete and something closer to a union, if not a full-blown union. Something that, of course, is another thing that Bobby Kotick and Activision executives would want to avoid, why they hired the law firm that is known for union busting. But right now, the Activision's biggest problem is dealing with PR and dealing with their investors having questions about this stuff and lawsuits about not informing their investors that stuff like this was happening and that there was a lawsuit pending. So we'll see. Maybe the workers can get some leverage while Activision Blizzard and Bobby Kotick are distracted. Let's talk about Dead Space. So Dead Space got revealed. We talked about it here before. We've talked about a lot about what it's going to be in terms of it's a remake, but the idea is to reboot the franchise so that we can have Dead Space games going forward with a strong foundation starting right here. In terms of the timing, so I think EA did their earnings call yesterday at the time that we're recording this, and EA said that they, it's still a ways off, and I wanted to talk about what that means. Internally, EA expects to release it in the fall of next year, but definitely by the end of next fiscal year. Definitely. What does that mean? Definitely. Things could go wrong. The plan right now is fall of next year. So, and I mean fall, not as in in July you go to the store and you see pumpkins at in Kroger or whatever. That's not what I mean. For real, when the calendar actually marks fall, we should start seeing this is when that game is supposed to come out. So October-ish of next year, but I just to be on the safe and to hedge my bets here because it's so far out and because they haven't announced a date, they haven't said anything. So even if it moves from here, it's not really a delay. Please, keep that stuff in mind. We're talking about rumors here, and in order to talk about rumors, we got to give real human beings some slack if things don't go as planned. But we could talk a little bit about the plan, and the plan is fall next year. I think that the chances of us hearing about this date are, anytime soon are pretty slim, but they will talk about Dead Space more later this year. That's how I've heard it. I've heard that we'll hear more about this game later this year. I imagine they want to show it because apparently it looks very, very good. Apparently the game looks incredible, and excuse me, everyone involved is very happy with the results, and so I think they're going to be ready to show this stuff. But if that means it shows up at like the Game Awards, or maybe opening night live, I think that's too soon. Probably not opening night live at Gamescom, but like if it shows up at the Game Awards, which the Game Awards might have a lot to pick from this year. I feel like there's going to be a lot of stuff that Jeff Keighley could get for the Game Awards, but this could be one of them. And if we get that, we probably still won't get a date at that time. I think that's unlikely because more companies are deciding to hold release dates closer to their vest as we get into this, as we continue through this new reality of post-COVID, where first things are more uncertain than ever in an industry where things were always pretty uncertain in terms of like how a game is going to come together. But also, as like we haven't heard about the new Call of Duty yet. Do you think Call of Duty sales are going to be damaged at all by that? No. Mario Golf. Nintendo didn't announce Mario Golf till February. It comes out in June, and it still sells like almost 1.5 million copies in 5 days. So we've seen examples of really late release date announcements, and it just has not had any detrimental effect on the actual game sales themselves. So these companies, I think, are starting to learn this lesson of we don't need to commit to anything early on. We can hold dates, and people will show up for these games, especially I think in a digital world where so many people are buying their games digitally that if it just pops up on a system one day, that's almost enough. But even if you give people a month or 2 or 3 months, 3 months ahead of time notice, that'll make all the difference, and that's all you really need. All right, I'm going to start answering some questions. From Looter Jennings asking what my daughter's favorite game is. She does like Pikmin a lot, so she saw this shirt and she was very excited about it. But she also likes Mario, anything with Mario. She's a big fan of. I think she knows I'm talking about her. From Punch Axis, what's going over at Fulbright and with Steve Gaynor? So this report came out from Polygon last night, and I read it. But I would recommend more than anything, go read that report from Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon. A good story, and I think it's an important story to have right now, because when you hear someone like is in a position of power and they're stepping down, I think the first thing we all think is, and I'm guilty of this too, okay, what's the crime? Or what is the specific thing they did to someone? And that's not the story as far as I understand from reading the Polygon reporting. They make it sound like it was just such a toxic environment because of small things that Steve Gaynor would do, and especially do to women, and not like harass them and not like make sexual advances towards them, just sort of undermine them and basically make them want to leave. And 12 female employees of Fulbright, I think that's still the name of Fulbright, right? They left in like the last year, and now there's just 6 employees left. So there's something there where a bunch of people are looking around saying, I feel like I am not being treated well here, and because of this specific person, and while I can't point to a crime he's done, this is still not an environment that I think is conducive to my health or to my productivity or a place that I just want to be. And I think that's important too, because I think like we just wait for the crimes, and it's not necessarily about that. It could just be that a manager is making a situation feel awful. And that's enough to be like, hey, this is a problem. And while we're not going to have a situation where I think Steve Gaynor gets, a civil suit brought against him for specific harassment, it's affecting their ability to make a game. And it's affecting their ability to hire a diverse work staff. And those are problems enough. But again, Nicole Carpenter, Polygon, I think that's right. Go read the story. All right, Izumi, what kind of dryer, side load or front load? Yeah, my dryer's broken. It's a front loader. It needs a belt. The belt broke. The problem is there apparently is not it's an Admiral, which I think is a division of Maytag, but they use Whirlpool belts just as well. There's not a belt, at least not at the stores for like a regular consumer in all of Denver, like that has one of these parts. I drove all the way to the north side of Denver yesterday, an hour away. And they said on their site that they had 3. They could not find them, so I had to drive home without anything. Very frustrating. I ordered a part from Amazon earlier this week. It's going to get here Friday. The problem is I'm leaving Friday night for a trip to the mountains, and it's like, it's too close. It's going to be really a big pain in the ass. I have no clean clothes. This is like the last clean shirt I have, so Yeah, if anyone's like a repair person and you like, if you needed to get a part and you had like your special places to go get one, like tell me what to do. What is this? Multiple people asking me, is Riker better than you at Astros? All right, I have the power here. So I was watching his Twitch stream the other night, and I showed up, and I was being nice, and he had me muted immediately by his mods, and while muted, he spouted some lies about some stuff. Let's see here. Let's go twitter.com/ let's do a search here from Jeff Grubb. Let's see, Dan Reichert, I think is a good thing to look for. He said some stuff like he beat me in Astro's Playroom in terms of the speed runs, and then I gave up. Quite the opposite happened, actually. Actually, the exact opposite happened. So let's see here. I'm trying to find one where yeah. Here's one I said to Dan. Let's just put it over here. Let's get it over here, and I'll move it around. I'm sorry, I have to do this. This has to happen now. We can see here I'm in the top 10 worldwide. This is not what this show's about, but it is now. I'm in the top 10 worldwide, and if you look closely, I think his name is Crunch Bogus. You don't see Dan Reichert's name anywhere in here. And yet I have the top 10 worldwide time for combined speedrun times in Astro's Playroom. And one day, I looked around, and Dan Reichert was nowhere to be seen anymore. He had just given up. He stopped playing. He couldn't handle it anymore. He was physically ailed. It hurt him to play the game because his bones are brittle. He's weak. He's a weak person. And so he had to give up and went to go play some other video games or something. And since then, I continue to be on top of him in the leaderboards. And I don't think he's ever going to beat me. And I'm fine with that. That's how it goes. All right, let me get the chat fixed here again. So to answer your question, which I appreciate you asking, is Dan better at me at Astros? Fuck no. From Jedi KV, as someone that collects scoops, what's the common reasons or motivations for your sources to provide you leaks versus keeping that stuff confidential? It seems like there's not a lot for them not a lot for them to gain by doing so. Yeah, in a lot of cases, it's just good relationships I have and people who think, in a lot of situations, people who think getting this stuff out here would be nice for fans or would be cool to discuss and want it kind of out there. And now, yeah, do they have a lot to gain? And in many circumstances, not. But that's why a lot of stuff I don't talk about, because I don't want to get anyone in trouble when they don't have anything to gain. And we try, and we try to talk about stuff that is, that is useful for you to know. And if we do bring something up, we try to explain like how it's going to be, like what it means, what it means for the industry, what it means for these companies and stuff. So, all right, everybody, let's wrap this up. That was a mess. I thought it was going to be a mess, but it was a mess. It was Grubbsnax too. That's what the show is called. If you are watching this like in another version, if you're watching the YouTube snippets that get posted every once in a while, come hang out with us live. giantbomb.com/premium. Become a premium subscriber, and you can interact with us live, ask your own questions, try to find out answers to things that you're curious about. Yeah, and I have a few other shows you can check out. I write over at gamesbeat.com. Please read my reading. I got my writing, and then check out my podcast. That's GamesBeat Decides and Last of the Nintendogs. God, my brain's fried. All right, everybody. Yeah, I thank you so much. Again, nothing but kind words. It's like I feel like I see nothing but kindness from you all. It makes it very fun to do the show. So thank you all so much for that. We'll be back with another new episode next week for sure. Have a good one and goodbye. And just remember to always yummy, yummy. I've never said that before. That's going to be my new thing. I don't know. Bye, guys. Ow, ow, ow.